the money will come as long as you become the type of person who deserves the money. So that's what I think. To me, it's like, yeah, the money is good, but money is just a tool and it's just an amplifier.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, whoever you are before you get money you're just gonna be an amplified version of that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I just want to become the right type of person if the money comes, or when the money comes.
There you go.
I should say.
Before we get into this episode, I would like for you all to like, subscribe, and leave any comments. I greatly appreciate all those who are part of this fellowship and part of this team and part of this journey with me and many other guests where we discuss their journey towards their purpose, self-reflecting, so that we all can realize and have self-reflection within ourselves, that we may be able to be inspired, and ultimately to remind ourselves we are not alone in our path to greatness.
South Carolina, 20 years old, and you're going to school for advertising. All right. And then we've got, I call him Robin. This guy here is Robin. You remind me of Chump in the Goonies. It's an old movie. It's an old movie, but we'll get to that concept of y'all in Goonies. Everybody knows the shuffle. Oh, I have to show it to you. Yeah, that's what he's known by. You know what I'm saying? He's known by that. And then we have our guy Brandon over here, who is more the recruitment aspect of our time. As
for the first couple weeks there, it's more like co-social.
And then you up there from Jersey as well?
Yeah.
Okay, 20 years old, and then you're going into marketing.
Yeah,
right?
marketing.
And then we got my guy Ethan, man. He's the one who kind of got this thing going in the form of me having to sit down with him, watching how he moved as a leader. He's very unique and very precise in his way, very attentive and focused for such a young man. He is the social chair of Phi Chi as well as from Long Island.
Yep.
And 20 years old, and you're going to school for finance.
Yep.
So, yeah, very important, especially with how meticulous you are and very punctual that I see that you are. But these are the guys, man. And so we're here to discuss about really Phi Time, but ultimately the theme of this segment is brotherhood. It's these guys possess a unique trait that I've noticed within them every time that they come to set up for their shows, and I just watched the sense of organization that they carry, the team player, the role play, and everybody has an identity within the system. I watch Ethan kind of walk around looking all mean and square jaw, pointing in directions, looking concerned. I could imagine somebody who's in finance, he's going to be very on top of his numbers. This guy here, man, if you ever wanted a Kickstarter, right here, right here. Red Bull, remember that. He is Red Bull. that is Red Bull. And then you always having a good friend in a way that attentive and astute and yet humble. And Brandon over here, where he's kind of like your go-to guy. He's going to get up there. He's going to make sure those wires fixed. You're going to make sure that whatever he needs done, you're really there. So you're really a good right-hand man. So that's some of the things that I noticed about y'all's trait when watching y'all set up, which I thought was very unique. I just wanted to kind of briefly talk on Phi Chi in the form of like, what separates you all from like any other fraternity?
Does anyone else want to chime in?
This could start some beef, man. I got you back.
Yeah, there's no disrespect to any of the others, but
absolutely.
I'll give you a little story. This is a recent story. Last night, I'm sorry, 2 nights ago, we're setting up for this lot, and we had a couple problems going into it with the speakers and whatever else, and it's like 2 a.m. We ended up there till the end of the lot. So we got there around 6 p.m. Friday night, and then didn't leave until yesterday at around 6 p.m. And we were messing with the speakers at 2, 3 a.m. And then we finally figured it out, and we were just wondering how nobody else is able to, do something like that and
put it together
like that. And
so what is it like? All y'all was out there too, staying out there, or is it?
Yeah,
the three of us.
Yeah, the trio, the three musketeers.
And I was like, listen, where are they right now? We're the only ones in there.
Yeah,
the only ones in there, and
that's part of that brotherhood concept that the theme is about, right? Y'all showing that is an act of brotherhood. It's an act of friendship. Even Jesus had friends. Told the 12 disciples that in Scripture he says, "You are my friends." And he says in the Bible, it's not good for man to be alone, right? And we can refer that prospectively from intimate relationships as far as girlfriend, boyfriend, or just intimate relationship as far as friendship, knowing your friend and knowing that you have a community, or in this case, a brotherhood to kind of lean on for these moments, especially being young. So here you state camaraderie is something that you feel like has separated you as far as being a part of Part-Time. If you had to, being somewhat a recruiter right now, like what would you pitch to anybody possibly? Can y'all do that? Or is that like
yeah.
Oh, okay. We know the NBA got tampering. We don't want to tamper nothing now. Lose those scholarships.
Nah. It's it pretty much is the same for everybody that comes and sees it. I would say, we're a new fraternity.
Okay.
We started in 2017, so I always give the same spiel about us being known as the quickest growing chapter on campus here, which is true just in size. Obviously, social status is a completely different. There's no measure for that. It's all subjective.
Yeah.
But I always, mention that we obviously have the lights and the long nights.
Yeah.
You can't really explain that. That's something people see for themselves.
Yeah.
But just academics wise, things like that, we usually mention stuff like that. A lot of people like.
Man, that's dope. I think that's very unique. I definitely know when I'm at group or when being out there and seeing y'all, I'm like, okay, a little mini Vegas, okay, lights, climax. Some people are cool with it. Some people think it's a little extra that's not necessary, but something we've already talked about. I was like, the great ones are always extra.
Yep.
They're always different. You know what I'm saying? They're going to get more haters than supporters. But when you get to the top, trust me, everybody wants to be in that brotherhood then.
For sure.
So, but yeah, that's dope that you all said that. Anything that you want to speak on there? And how's being a part of with these two guys here?
It's good. I learn a ton just from being around them all the time. It's, always changes how you think a lot. Thinking in different ways that you would have never thought to think like that.
Yeah.
But just from being around other mindsets, and it definitely broadens how you think.
Perspective. It's something you learn that is very important as you get older in life. It's having diverse perspectives, and you get that. I think college experience is very helpful to that. Being in a fraternity even filters that out even some more. Being from the different locations that you all are from, born in New York, but, mostly raised down here in Bluffton, and then you two being up north and coming down the south, right? Just two different kind of cultural shifts, especially at an early age. The fact that you come into a fraternity, I would encourage you to probably look into joining a fraternity, just because that transition would be helpful as far as you at least had a close-knit group of people with the same agenda, right? What are some of the things about Part-Time is like the structure that you may be able to reveal? I'll have y'all's events, like somebody's got to watch the door. Like they don't get to go have fun. They've got to determine who's who. Like,
so usually all that kind of stuff is on us.
Okay.
We're the ones working the event, not enjoying the event.
Yeah.
I think that just comes with the job. Like that's what we signed up for.
Yeah.
So I didn't really expect to be the one party and have a great time. There's really like people that it's their position are the ones working, and then we try to make it so that the other guys can have the best time possible. That's really our goal.
And that's like, man, that's everything that I kind of talk about in my podcast, man. It's all, I say, all for the glory of God in form of building kingdom and making people aware of how his kingdom is established here, how the spiritual world is part of the societal world. Like, even y'all's actions of what you just displayed, serving people, it's exactly what God kind of calls us to do, is for people. We find really more joy when we can serve others, but we have a mindset, or we have a condition based on culture, growth, upbringing perspective of what that looks like. And ultimately, sometimes we think it's all about us, but everybody wants to do for others, So I think that's a very strong characteristic trait that y'all are actually displaying that is similar to what God calls us to be in this world. So that's pretty dope. Yeah, we talked a little bit about Phi Thai, y'all coming here and this transition. But before we even get to this point, what was childhood like growing up for you all? Being up north, maybe even for you, you're all the same age. Like, what was your childhood like, as far as being in that house? Did y'all grow up in two-parent households, single-parent households?
Yep.
Two-parent? Okay. So that's a big difference. Was there being in a two-parent household growing up, like, what, if you can reflect, and probably being around people who've not had that luxury in that way, which we've come now is really a luxury to have a two-parent household. It's a blessing if two healthy parents in a two-parent household. So that is crazy how society has deviated the course of what God intended for us, where now we normalize situationships and singlehood. And really we wear that on an ego because a part of us all at some point wanted the two-parent household, or the husband, wife, or a partner, lifetime partner. But life is throws so many curveballs. Definitely can get real foggy as you go further in life. But growing up, what was y'all's growing up like for you all?
So I think all of our kind of backstories are similar, but also completely different.
Okay.
So I lived in a bigger town originally, but in first grade I moved to a 1 square mile town, so super tiny. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
90 kids per grade. So I guess that was pretty unique because most people are like, dude, but my town's massive.
Yeah.
1 square mile, everyone's walking everywhere. Everyone knows each other's parents, everything.
Gotcha.
So I think that made me really appreciate friendships and stuff like that, because since you're growing up with everybody and everybody is friends, like one big town that's all friends, and he's come to visit and he realizes it, like, it's very different than a lot of places. So I think that helped me out a lot.
I was like the complete opposite. I was big, massive town, public high school.
Okay.
But I was different because in the summers, I would vanish off the face of the earth from hometown and go where my dad grew up, down the shore. It's a little small town called Avalon.
Okay.
And then down there, I'd have a completely separate group of friends. So it would be like, for 9 months of the year, I was with my school friends, and then the second that the summer came, it was gone. Where's Bren? Nowhere to be found. Down the shore. Completely different life.
So Brendan just had two different. What about you, my guy? Down here.
I was so I lived in New York it was a while actually. So growing up, just like Ethan, a small town, everyone kind of knows everyone. My whole family, that's where they're all from. So all of my family is in the same town. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone knows each other's families. So
yeah. So even with, so we'll go to you real quick, since they're kind of like have a lot stronger familiarity. Him being in a close town, you have a lot more camaraderie, familiar faces, learn people, safety nets. He grew up, he stated, everybody kind of knew everybody. So it's like it was a support system.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word. There's a support system. And then, old school is like you had a bigger community to kind of support it. You know what I'm saying? If you grew up in a small town, I'm pretty sure your teacher knew, your mom and so forth. And then if you acted up, that was the same equivalence as your mom, you know what I'm saying? But for you being from Jersey, though,
yeah,
what was that like in that public setting? And then
so in Jersey, at least South Jersey, the public schools are usually better than the private schools. Better as in
that's interesting.
More like down here, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And even the rest of my family is all from Pennsylvania, and the same way, it's private schools that are like where you want to send your kids instead of the public schools. Where I'm from, it's like unless you're, gonna be a D1 athlete or something like that, where it's, the best case scenario to go to a private school where you're gonna be able to, be recruited a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody went to the public schools, and even still, I know plenty of guys that went to my school, went to other public schools that are in the same district that ended up going to, big colleges. So it's, I mean, I graduated with 500 something, 600 something, two graduations. Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah. But it seemed like also hearing you say that you in the summertime you was off the face of the earth. Yeah. Was that more like because being around that public setting and being around that mass of people, it's like getting away from that, saying having that moment of solitude or different space?
I grew up, my dad was the same way, so it was kind of instilled in me to have the biggest circle of friends possible. Mm. And so that was kind of the whole goal. And he loved everybody at home, and we had friends that my parents were friends with, their parents, things like that. But we would all of us, my mom, my dad, and I'm an only child. Okay. So the three of us and my grandmother would all just shift down there for the summers, and it was a completely different group of friends, but nothing wrong with the the people at home, but it's just summers come. That's where he grew up, so we obviously have friends down there that were from his childhood. And gotcha. I became friends with their friends, and to this day they're on a immediate friends and family basis to us.
That's dope. That's more rare than you realize when you get older. I've got a group of friends, for like 9 of us, that I've been friends with like 20-something years, bro. Like 20 years. Mm-hmm. We still talk in a group chat. We still cut up. We still talk about many different things, appropriate, not appropriate. But the difference is a lot of maturity now. And some of the stuff we understand is just talk, just fun, kicking bubbles. But we hold each other accountable. And I think that's big when you have friendships and a community. It keeps you accountable. When you kind of live to yourself in private, you can get caught up in your own world. You know what I'm saying? You're your own deity. You're your own governor, ambassador. You determine what you think is good, what's best, what's safe, and you don't have anybody to help reflect. Remember we talked earlier in the beginning that, y'all's upbringing, a lot of perspective, right? That helps open up your door, increases your knowledge, makes you more comfortable to adapt, and you're learning, right? Mm-hmm. And it'll keep you away from stubborn. God hates stubborn people. Just always remember that. I can't find a scripture for that. It take time to look. But he talks about stubborn people. He cannot stand stubborn people because his mentality is if you're stubborn, you can't grow. Mm-hmm. I can't mold you. I can't teach you. I can't develop you. I can't show you where you're wrong at or correct it. And then he places us in the communities, around fellowship, around people to do such things. So, and you learn, right? You're going to learn the snakes from the sheeps and the wolves. You're going to learn who your friends are. You know what I'm saying? I had somebody tell me the other day, like, friends come and go, and that's the truth to it is people come and go. Friends make choices to stay as friends. Like you said, you don't have no blood ties to siblings, but you've made your friends and your father's friends' kids your brothers. You know what I'm saying? There's no genealogy tie to you all, right? There's nothing. It's a choice. There's a choice. There's a compatibility that you all see that's in y'all that relate. And as you stated earlier, like y'all upbringing is pretty much the same. So that's pretty special. And I want y'all to understand that. Reminds me of the Bible story of Joseph and his brothers, because a lot of friendships kind of can turn into that concept where people are envious of your vision, of your demeanor, your background, cars, woman, you never know. So understand what you three have, and along with anybody else that's included in that circle, remember that that's very important. And you shouldn't let anything divide, because that's what the devil is just trying to do, trying to divide. If y'all are divided, then how can we build? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty dope. What was child like growing up? Like, did y'all do any sports, play around? Yeah, I hear over here my man is like a serious golfer. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. I want to know some crazy story, because I hear that you have a goal in mind. What goal do you have that Brennan is over here talking about with this golfing? Is it golf related? Okay, I want to hear this.
So Brennan's a very good golfer. Okay. I didn't grow up playing. I played golf, but my main sports was everything else basically besides golf. And me and Brennan are hyper competitive. That's one of the things that's helped us so far. Is because we're always trying to do better than not only each other, but just everybody in general.
Iron sharp as iron, baby.
Exactly. So golf started to become more popular, and now it is kind of more popular. A lot of kids are picking up golf, especially when you get into college, because playing like football or anything like that is not as easy as it is to just grab a couple clubs and just play golf. So I told Brendan that I'm going to hyper train golf for a long extended period of time, and my goal before I leave this earth is to beat Brendan in at least one round of golf. And the second I beat him, I will no longer play golf ever again. So I can always say that I beat Brendan last, and we never played again, and therefore I'm better than him.
We have a saying that we have had since we met, pretty much, and it kind of resembles that. And we always say, "Oh, we're 1-1."
I love it.
So if you say it's about basically like scoring.
Yeah.
So like if you win a game, another person win a game, it's like, oh, you guys are tied 1-1.
Yeah.
Like, you won one game, I won one game. So every time we do something, he'll forget something, and I'll remember it. I'll be like, oh, I remember it. I'm 1-0. But every time it's always we beat each other, and I beat him, he beats me. So it's we're 1-1. So me and Brendan are the type that are super hyper competitive with each other. Yeah. So that's the goal. I'm going to beat Brendan once, and then never play golf ever again.
Oh man. And I don't know if the golf world's going to respect you if you let that happen.
It's not even about golf, because I'm not a big I can't let him be better than me at anything.
Yep. I love it. I love it. Oh man, I will see y'all on Forbes list one day, 1 and 2, and I'm like, I don't know who's gonna be the first to 10 billion. You know the story. Somebody, but man, that's like the value of friendship, right? Accountability. You know what I'm saying? Like when he's lacking, you're strong. You know what I'm saying? When you're lacking, he's better, right? And that's the complementary aspect that I think Brotherhood brings with close-knit people. Actually, you're actually being groomed and prepared for marriage, not with each other, obviously, but if you can be this way.
Looks good today.
Sunshine.
Oh no, not that.
Oh man, hey, he was a hell of a quarterback.
Yes.
He was a hell of a quarterback. Yeah, he was a dog. How about you, D? For you to be Mr. Red Bull.
Now listen. You call D on a special occasion, because usually D is also part of the group that doesn't play games, never has fun. But when you play hard, you gotta party hard too. It's funny because everybody's always asking us to loosen up and you know what I mean, enjoy the events.
Yeah.
But the second we're loose, we're the ones that are having the most fun. And we're not partying. We play hard, but we party hard too.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, that's the fruits of your labor, man. Enjoy it, man. And as long as it's all in good fun, man, it doesn't cause any, as God says, if it doesn't, man, he wants us to enjoy our fruits of our labor, especially if it's fun, authentic, safe, peaceful, kind, and things like that. As long as it doesn't commit you towards sin in the form of like losing your relationship with God or doing something that can make you question your integrity or your character. So this right here is going to be a climatic aspect of your life. It's going to be one of many, but it definitely can shape the outcome for your next 5 years, right? The determination of where you're going to go, the structure, the identity of things like that. But growing up, man, is very huge up until this point for y'all. Like y'all are just, getting out of the mama's nest, So what was y'all's parents like?
My parents are amazing. Best parents in the world, for sure. They raised me on the mentality of very much, we give you a lot of freedom so that you can experience things and learn a lot for yourself.
Ooh.
So I was never the kid that had to be home at a certain time. Or I was never the kid that couldn't have a phone or nothing like that. You can do anything you want.
Okay.
They always told me, don't do drugs,
Yep.
do well in school, and give more to your kids than I gave you. So those are basically the 3 principles that I think are the biggest in their eyes, and I've made it this far, so I feel like they did a pretty good job in raising me.
In that, how many painful lessons have you had to have for yourself in that freedom that you've been given?
I think you definitely learn a lot, but you learn quick. Because if you're not put in a position where you can learn certain lessons for yourself, then I think a lot of kids who are not given that freedom are left behind a little bit, because I got to learn lessons for myself faster than a lot of other kids, which means I matured sooner.
A little bit faster, yeah.
And I think that's one of the main concepts of parenting that I learned from them that I will definitely do with my kids.
Oh man, that's dope. I like how you said they instilled a mentality.
For sure.
Right. I think sometimes we kind of wing life, and I'm sure parents do it too. I've heard it so much. you're never truly prepared with kids until you have them, and you don't know. And I've heard all the time from different parents, but ultimately, what I've come to learn at this point in my life, a lot of us are not very intentional about wanting to be a parent or a father or a husband or mother or a wife. We are fixated on the idea because it's programmed to us. It's something in our nature, but it's an idea. But the reality of it is, like, what does that look like, right? You stated one of the ingredients that I think is very important that when we move forward in our life, which is something you'll have, right? Brotherhood, right? Fraternity, community, direction, right? Things for life is going to be very foggy. You know what I'm saying? So the intention of your parents having already, this is 3 things we instilled on you. And we even gave you the awareness that this is what we're going to be. This is what we're going to do to you. Once you started figuring that out, and I'm sure as a kid, they were already letting you experience in ways like that too, that you didn't realize. But when you be mature, it's something my pastor was talking about today, when you're this age, you can kind of get away with this. And then when you're this age, it's a little more this. But as you get older, the expectancy rises. The more mature you get into the word, the more mature you get in society, you're expected to know certain things. And it seemed like your parents were mature enough to understand what expectancies that they were going to implement on you. Yeah. You were saying?
Yeah, so we were talking about childhood.
Yeah.
Mine was a little different. My parents tried to be the one that was, on top of everything. Can't do this, can't do that. But I was a big arguer and why, and I would always ask why.
Yeah.
And then it became, by the time I had a buddy who lived down the street who his parents were. He just grew up with his mom, and she was kind of doing her own thing. So he would go everywhere, and all I wanted to do was follow him. And so once I started debating them and then just doing whatever anyways, it became more like Ethan's, where it's like, all right, you're going to figure some shit out that it's going to suck.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to do, then do it. But they tried for at least the first 8 or 9, maybe 10 years. And then from then on, second half, my 20 years has been more, you figure it out on your own. But as long as my dad mainly was like, as long as you keep the grades up, he was not a school guy whatsoever. He limped his way out of high school.
Gotcha.
Didn't go to college. Figured it out once he met my mom, but he was massive about grades. And as long as I kept him up, then same things.
So it just sounds like even your dad, he understood maybe, I'm not going to say the shortcomings, but maybe the decisions that he made that transition, right? So he gave you guidance, right? That structure sometimes it's predicated on experience and perspective of what we didn't do or what we could have done or what all that. And then we kind of just project that on our kids, trying to give them knowledge, information, influence, or even somebody being older, just trying to mentor and give you that. And I had a situation one time, and I'll say this is important before we move. I want to know if your mom was different. I used to get so angry and upset when people was always wanting to know about me or questions or holding me accountable or even critical about my decisions and choices. It would bother me because why are everybody so concerned about me? Why are you worried about me? Why are you worried about me? What are you worried about? And even your haters, right? And he said, don't look at that as a bad thing. He said, because if you're relevant, whether it's your energy or your spirit, your personality, whatever it is that makes somebody say something to you, you're relevant enough in their life to come to you. Yeah. Whether they want to be critical, give you positivity, advice, encouraging, whatever. When somebody is able to address you or come to you and talk to you and stuff, that means something. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that people will not say anything to them. They let them live their life. Imagine living your life with all this freedom and no structure in the form of we're there for you, or we got your back, or when you make a poor decision, we're going to check you on it, or remind you, hey, son, we told you can do your life, but, yeah, right? And imagine going that way. What happens is you become your own dictator. Once again, become your own deity. You become your own God. You're accountable to nobody. Imagine going that many years, and the only way you find yourself accountable to anything is probably job-related, somebody of higher authority. Now you close-mind yourself from being able to learn from all walks of life and perspective. And now you can only relate with, oh, you have to be this for me to respect you. Now your respect is limited. Who you are is limited because you're only giving a certain perception or a certain identity of yourself to people that you can feel or think is worthy. But everybody's worthy of information. It's up to you to apply it. It's up to you to receive it. It's up to you to accept it. So I just want to put that out there that as you grow and people are knocking 5 times maybe because it's this or that or y'all are new or, Brandon is not as good as a golf player or Darren is not who he, whatever it is, at least they recognize it. They know it. You know what I'm saying? They see you. You know what I'm saying? There's some people you'll never see and you're like, oh, I didn't even know you was there. I don't want to live in a world like where I don't have a stamp within my community. It's easier to try to impact strangers and people on the outside for some people and maybe vice versa for others. But I've come to find your closest friends, family members, are going to be your harshest critics because they know everything. They know more. They've seen the growth. They've been there. While Darren may be like, man, I'm proud of Ethan, man, he got his grades up. Your mom is like, what's the report card look like?
Yeah.
We gonna keep this thing growing. So just wanted to put that out there. But man, what was your mom like? You said your dad was very pressed on grades. Was your mom?
Yeah, she was the same. She wanted the same thing, and they both were. Everything was,
kind of hand in hand.
Yeah, hand in hand. But my dad was the enforcer.
Yeah.
Mom was more like, a little bit more lenient. We'll figure it out. If that happens, we'll get through it. Whatever. My dad's like, nope. Yep. That's not gonna slide. Yeah. That's not how you play.
Put the Clint Eastwood down, laying down that dirty Harry.
Yeah, I always remember we had from my dad's work. We had Flyers tickets, and we sat in the same spot every time. It was a big thing that my dad and I did. We would go at some points once a week to games.
Yeah.
And every time we got in there, and I was getting excited to go to the game. I was young, so I'm loving it. He'd be like, "Hey, just remember, second that your grade slip, this is no mas." Whatever else that was happening in that time, where it's like the second you stop doing that, or that, then this is done. This is a reward. This is not just because we're boys.
Yeah, and he lets you feel it was a privilege.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get entitled. We don't really. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, when I have kids, for the first 10 years, my kids are not getting Jordans. And it's like, why? It's like, because when you're a kid and you're a guy kid or a boy kid, you don't look at Jordans the way that you look at them when you're older. They're just shoes. You're going to go mess them up. Yep. You're just going to have it. You may want them because your friends want them, but that costs money. And the point was to be disciplined, teaching discipline and direction in the form of I got to think a little bit further than you right now. You're not ready to understand why I'm doing that. And I think your dad acknowledging to you, getting ice cream, son, or going to these games. This is not just because, oh, I love you, this, because he has to work. He has to pay for this stuff. So to emphasize to you, this is a privilege. When you mess up, it teaches us accountability. It teaches us appreciation. That's what it teaches. And if you can appreciate the little things, oh man, you appreciate the bigger things. And people who are usually the most appreciative are usually the most generous. And usually people like being around generous people. Mm-hmm. And they receive, as at least talked about at the beginning, a bigger community, right? What about you, D?
So, growing up, my dad was a police officer in New York City.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, my mom was a special ed teacher. My dad also, my parents owned a window washing company in New York City. And he was also a volunteer firefighter in our hometown. So he was strict with some things, but kind of going out. And basically it was I could do my own thing. I have a younger brother and sister, and the three of us are super close. So it's kind of you guys go out, do what you want. And honestly, if you guys ever, they're always there for us. Anything ever happens, or they know we could always go. We know we could always go to them to talk to them about it and stuff. So it was very much just an open world. Do what you want, experience what you want, because they're believers in memories, and that's going to be best experiences. And so it was always outside doing stuff. Even stuff one winter we were just all right, we had a basketball court at the house.
Yeah.
All right, we want to make it an ice rink so. It's all right, so let's do it. And made an ice rink and had it for the winter. So stuff like that, where it was just do it, experience it, and you have the memories forever.
Yeah. All three, y'all, I got out of that, once again, was camaraderie, stability, structure. Y'all was able to identify roles, seeing how your mom and dad balance one another, the community, right? You grew up in a community of people who supported you all. Y'all had that. I don't think a lot of people realize that support is huge and what it looks like. I think the period of people seeing other people hold you accountable is the fear reminding me that I've done wrong or I've made some choices that may not be the best. But y'all also had the encouragement aspect that all three of y'all said that your parents, when you did moments, they were there for you all. You had the comfortability of being able to come to kids. I think a lot of parents would love if kids were able to have like real conversations with them so that they could give them like real good guidance. But, you know, if you don't feel safe or comfortable with your partner, your family, your friends, then you pretty much recluse yourself. And then it goes back to that conversation I was saying earlier, you become your own deity. You have no accountability. You have no support. You know what I'm saying? And life it's not designed for us to do it by ourselves. And then we don't know how to go about it the right way. We don't know what kind of friends we're looking for. We don't know what kind of people we need in our circle. But the structure is already started and implemented in the seed of your childhood, at the childhood.
Yep.
So, man, that's dope, man. It was a very deep situation as far as that. But so now we make these transitions, right? So now y'all of age, you know, when did y'all decide? Well, obviously school was important in all your household. What transition that you made that led to you all coming to USC, as well as what reasoning did y'all want to get into the field of study that you're doing now?
The field of study of
you for finance.
Finance or the field of study of us throwing events and stuff like that?
Well, we're about to get to that. I just want to know for you individually so I can see how did your individualism, as far as what you wanted, shape into you becoming how I met you running that?
So, I've always been fascinated by businesses.
Okay.
Ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Started my first little business in 8th grade.
Okay.
Me and my buddy started knocking doors and handing out flyers for power washing. Same thing. Actually, it was mowing lawns first in 8th grade. And
where did that come from?
What do you mean?
Like, where, like, most kids want to play Call of Duty, Fortnite.
I don't know. I don't know. I found it at a really young age.
Were you around somebody like that?
For sure. I mean, my family is a lot of entrepreneurs who started their own businesses. A lot of like concrete and construction companies and things of that nature. My dad's a lawyer. He started his own law firm. So I've always just been around people.
You've been around people
that started their own thing and made it work.
Yeah.
So I think just growing up, seeing my uncles, my cousins, kind of going down that path, and I've always, all the media that I've ever watched or books I've ever read has always been about business.
Wow.
So it's always been something that I've wanted to do.
Do you have any favorite books or anything that you...
Business books? I have so many. I think nowadays, though, I will say, I think books are the best thing ever, especially because I heard this quote. It's like, people who are dead are not here to make media anymore, so books are the only way for you to learn from them, even though nowadays most of the learning is done on YouTube or social media platforms. So I think there's plenty of books that are... I couldn't even give you books that are the best. I just think it's a rabbit hole you go down where you learn a bunch of different things from a lot of different books. So I think...
Do you have a favorite? Or if you can remember, or is there anyone that you're reading recently?
For sure. And I'm, like I said, I'm way far from knowing anything. I'm still on the path of learning.
I like that.
Just the books that I've touched on. It helps us a lot. All the books that we read. One of the biggest ones I just finished reading was The Art of War.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It was recommended to me by someone else, but I've done research into it. It's like every CEO, they always give them to read that book because it teaches you about war strategy and stuff like that. So that's a big book. The War of Art, which is a spin-off of that book, I guess, play on the words, which is all about overcoming the voice in your head. It's called Resistance, that tells you to do things that you shouldn't be doing. Or you don't have to work on the podcast today. You could just sit down and watch TV. So that's another good book. So The Art of War and The War of Art, 2 different perspectives. I think those are good books.
That's a good one. I'll keep that note. Oh man, that's pretty dope. What about
Joe Rogan gives that to every single one of his guests, The War of Art. That's why I found it.
All right, shout out Mr. Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He's over there touching people's lives, man. You're dope. He's a dope host, man. He is very out there. He's got a lot of things going for him, so he's a very popular podcast. So shout out Mr. Joe Rogan. People are listening. You are influential, my friend. So you were starting out, you was going around with flyers and things of that nature. Is kind of where that tapped into. I kind of sidetracked you with books, but you were...
Yeah, so I was just fascinated about the idea that I could just start something and kind of convince other people to give me money for something I was doing. It just was so fascinating to me, especially as a kid, because I didn't understand anything about business. I was just like, this guy's going to give me $100 to mow his lawn every week? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So we started knocking doors, landed, I remember the best feeling in the world. We spent 7 hours straight, me and my buddy, this was like one of the first days of summer. We printed 100 flyers out of the school printer, which is probably not allowed, but we just kind of got in there like, oh, it's for school. Printed 100 flyers and then started handing them out, and we'd knock doors while we waited for those flyers to be seen or whatever. And it took 7 hours one day, and the first day. And we kind of were under the expectation of, we're going to knock doors, we're going to get a job today. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that no one's going to say no to us. Like, why wouldn't we? And we went a day or 2 days or 3 days with no one calling us, and we were just like, dude, this sucks. But then eventually, after the third day of handing out flyers and knocking doors, we finally got a person who was like, yeah, you know what, you can come knock, like, mow our lawn. It was $20 we're splitting between 2 of us, $10 each. It's nothing, but it's just the fact that someone finally said yes is the best feeling in the world. So I think going fast forward a couple of years, and we do different things. Me and my buddy downstairs started doing power washing, so same thing, knocking doors for power washing. That started making more money, and then I started selling custom-made college signs for kids who were graduating, so I did that. So I've just always been around kind of hustling, do your own business type of thing.
Yeah, that's dope. I can see where that plays in a lot with financing, and where you're like this event coordinator now. That's pretty dope. We're gonna get into that. How you were able to make that work with Fatah.
Yeah, I got stories about that.
So we're gonna get that. What about you, D?
So, advertising is not something that I'm actually looking to go into, but ever since I was super young, well, my dad, he would always do like stuff around the house, and my uncles are all handy people. So I always like construction and doing my own thing and working. So even when I was probably 5 or 6 maybe, one of my birthday parties theme was like Home Depot themed. It was like a Home Depot birthday party, which is crazy, but I just love that stuff. So it was always, like I said, working. And then, the first like jobs I did was removing swing sets for people. And I remember me and my younger brother did that. And we would make a boatload of money just cutting up swing sets, taking them apart, and hauling them off. And then we moved down south, and me and my brother started a handyman company. Well, more like odd jobs, so we do everything from, removing a tennis ball that a dog dropped in the toilet to like building a shed. And everything in between, electrical work and plumbing. And then we expanded that onto more construction, where me and my brother now do construction over the summer. Or assistant project managers for large construction companies, and just learning. And construction is what I want to go into. So
like civil engineering, learning blueprints, things like that.
All that I learned when I first started with construction, and being an apprentice at first and a project manager assistant, where it wasn't, a little different, and doing all the dirty work, where now it's more like, all right, I'm seeing it, make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and already like taking steps up into becoming to the top.
You want to get to the top?
Yeah, the goal is so my brother, he's the number 1 carpenter for the high school level in South Carolina.
Oh wow!
And then number 13 in the U.S.
In the nation.
Yeah.
Shout out, brother. What's bro's name?
That's Justin.
Shout out, Justin, man. Whew, big things, man.
Yeah. So the two of us, we want to have our own construction company and
vision.
Yeah.
Got a vision already. Interesting.
So I'm sales marketing. It's technically marketing, but anybody who wants to be in sales, it does the same thing. Recently, it's gotten a little different. I obviously still want to go into sales.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, you gotta make as much money as possible, learn it. Ethan and I and one of our other buddies, a roommate of ours, we did an internship just this past summer. It's Lumio, and basically what it is it's door-to-door solar sales. It's the hardest way to sell door-to-door.
Yeah.
And I would argue the hardest thing to sell is solar. So it was definitely the hardest job that I'd ever had as far as like mentally. Just getting the door slammed in your face over and over again is not easy. But I did love it, and I would do it again. Not that exact thing, but just the idea of, when you get in the door and sit down and start making the account for people to get them to the next level, it's a rewarding feeling. So I definitely could see myself sticking with that for a good amount of time. But since we got into doing these events and things like that, we at least I know Ethan has had this idea for a while, but I recently got into owning bars, owning nightclubs, things like that. There's a guy that Ethan turned me on to. His name's David Grutman.
David Grutman.
Yeah, he's a big hospitality guy.
Great hospitality.
Yeah, he could talk more about this. I recently got into things like this, but just the idea of owning, massive nightclubs that are influential to, celebrities. I mean, they have guys in there every week that are, A-list celebrities, performers, people just coming. Kim Kardashian showing up at the door just to come hang out. Things like that, like massive places. Obviously, there's the start is, like social or rooftop or whatever else, but the goal is to max that out somewhere somehow.
So tell me about how all that transitioned into Fraternity. You being vice president, did you recruit them or how is that?
So me always, ever since growing up, I always liked to be a part in everything that I did, whether it be when I played hockey, when I was wrestling, when I did anything, baseball, lacrosse, whatever I was playing. I was always a team captain. When I was in high school, I was a varsity tennis captain. So.
Oh, you're quick on your feet. Okay. One tubby.
So I always like to not necessarily have control, but be a big part in what I was and make sure that what I was doing has almost like an effect on everyone else in a positive way. Mm. So making sure, obviously that everything's going smooth how it's supposed to and just accountable for everyone. Mm. And making sure that, not letting anyone slip through the cracks and stuff like that. So being vice president was very fitting for how I always was and even for how I was raised with, always being accountable. When I would play sports when I was little, like, if there was ever a day where it's like, I don't know, do I really got to go to, practice today? Do I really need to go to skating today? And it was always like, yeah, you signed up to do that, so you're going to every single one. So my parents would always tell me, if you don't want to be part of the team, then don't go to anything. Yeah. But you can't just pick and choose what you want to go to.
Man, that's discipline, bro. That's what I think makes all of y'all very unique in different ways. A form of discipline you all have and a standard of respect that you all have for what you believe in or the people that you have in your life goes back to choice. All this stuff is choice. Nothing really forces you to it. But once again, going back for your upbringing, which is continuously being revealed as I listen to you all, it's the support factor of holding y'all accountable. Focus, guidance, awareness, direction, perspectives, all these things. Like I said, the theme of this is brotherhood, and the brotherhood is a community. It's a group of people that come together as males, and y'all have a vision, So here it is, we're at the vision of Fraternity, right? We didn't all come from Bluffton, from Jersey. We done come from our sides of towns of Long Island, and here we are now at Fraternity in Columbia, South Carolina, a fastest growing chapter. And how does every one of you all fit in? Like, where in the world did this transition come from Mr. Finance, small market, to running light shows and climbing ladders to make wires and fixing, Darren making sure everybody's good with water. We'll say that. Water.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think coming to college, I always knew that I wanted to be a social chair for a fraternity.
Okay.
The second I got to college,
Already
I even knew about fraternities at all. I wanted to be the social chair. I was rushing fraternity to become the social chair. It was the first thing I would ask. Who's the social chair? How do I talk to him? What do I got to do to become it? And in high school, I used to throw parties. Being a 1 square mile town, everyone would have a great time. Everyone knows each other, so everyone's living apart. So I would work at Chick-fil-A for 3 months, save up as much money as I could, and then I would decorate for a week my house to the point where it's like high school parties, but the amount of decorations and stuff that I was putting into it, I'd spend $500 just putting up decorations, spend me a week to put it up. I'm envisioning exactly how I want it, and then we'd have a massive party, probably 115 people come, and then next day I'm just mopping the floors, taking it all down. It takes me 20 mops because there's an inch of alcohol in my basement. Just mop it all up and then start again, save up 3 months, throw another party. What's the new theme? What's the new experience that I want people to have? So I think I always loved throwing parties. I don't drink much at all. I'm not a big party type of kid, but I love throwing parties and seeing everyone else come and enjoy the party and, whoa, this is crazy, this is new, no one's seen this before. So I think that's something I came to school with, already having the parties from high school. And then the second I became social chair, I met these kids. I joined the fraternity with Darren, so I already knew Darren before.
Okay.
But once I actually became a member of the fraternity, Brendan also joined the exec, which is the governing body of the fraternity. So he's one of the influential people who has a role as recruitment. And then obviously he pivoted into helping us with social. But once we met each other, then we kind of talked about it and explained ideas with each other, and that's really how it started.
It was never originally it was going to be this way.
Yeah.
I joined a semester before them, and my whole thing was I didn't join in the sense of becoming the recruitment chair, becoming the social chair, anything like that. I joined and I saw the lots and I saw the parties, and I was just like, these could be so much better. We could do this way better. I don't know how, but I know we can because look at all these other fraternities.
Yeah.
They do it better. And obviously it was just, if these guys can't figure it out, then I will.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I joined, and that's what I wanted to do. And so I just got myself hyper fixated on becoming involved, just talking to whoever was currently in power and learning what he knows. So if him and I are on the same basis of what we know, then beating him and becoming him. And so I also took a fascination in, or not even a fascination, kind of just more anger in the recruitment side of it, just watching the guys before us do it. I think they did a great job, but watching, the fraternity turn to just getting numbers instead of sticking to quality guys, sticking to our, what we're supposed to be recruiting or who we're supposed to be recruiting. I think that was where I was like, I want to be the one doing this and making sure that we stick to what we're supposed to be sticking to. And then we all got on exec, and recruitment's first things first.
Yeah.
Joining exec, because the way the semester goes, we got elected in at the end of the semester, at the end of the last fall, and then we go home for the winter break, and then we come back and start the spring semester. We're in recruitment. So we were kind of just not freeballing it by any means, but we didn't know nearly what we know now, and getting into a couple of new places for the first time as a fraternity and also as an exec, and seeing it run so well, it just snowballed from there. And then it was kind of like, all right, well, when recruitment's done, we're not going to stop this, are we? No? Okay. And then the semester plays out, obviously, with the 3, 4, 5 of us that it once was, and still is when there's time. Just running events and learning from our own mistakes.
I was gonna say your transition into Fata, what got you into being vice president? What led to that, especially coming from Bluffton and then going to USC?
Yeah, it's most of it, like I was saying before, with the discipline and self-discipline.
Yeah.
Like I make sure everything goes smooth.
Did you want to be in a fraternity?
No, actually. Okay.
And they gave you the vice president, man. That's how it works too. That's how God works. Usually he gives you what you don't want.
So
it's what you needed though.
Before coming to college, I was not a partier at all. Never drank, never nothing. Like in high school, I had very few friends. Well, also I moved right before high school, so once I graduated 8th grade, that's when I moved. And so very few friends in high school. My best friends were my brother and sister, and so always hanging out with them, just doing stuff with them, and so like I said, never drank. Then I came to college, and I'm like, all right, well, a fraternity's not going to be for me. Like all it is just like a bunch of hotheads thinking that who the hell they are, and that they're the coolest people ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, that's just not
your vibe. Yeah, not your vibe.
So then I was like, all right. So I went through my first semester of school, and I was like, as a guy at a big school like this, it's you can't really go to the bars because you can only get into them really if it's rented, and if it's rented and you're on that fraternity, you can't get in. Then there's not house parties here, so it's just like
COVID shut that down.
Yeah, so it's just like this isn't really enjoyable. I don't have my brother and sister here to hang out with, and so I was like, you know what, maybe a fraternity is what I need. I need that brotherhood, like that I have at home, and and as soon as I joined and brushed, and I was like, yeah, this is what I needed, and just learning about everyone and having all these brothers with me all the time.
If y'all are listening, like, sounds like everything y'all talking about individually, it's aligning collectively. Y'all are talking and it's like intertwining. Like, y'all are like a Twizzlers fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, I started to be like, because we got to switch over real quick, but I wanted to ask, since y'all always in competition, is he out reading you too? Or he over out with those books?
Listen, no, I'm not out reading them. I'm not out reading them. Not even close. He's a...
Does that mean you can stop reading books now?
No.
Yeah, I'll read you right.
Continue with that segment.
Oh, you like that, right? Yeah, I'll read you. That's funny. I got you, man. Some more.
Yeah, you got it. I get stuck in the TikTok. I always end up scrolling. And he's like, "Get that out of your face! Why are you scrolling through TikTok?"
Poison.
It is.
Get that away from me.
Yeah, he's really good at that. Like,
look at that accountability, right? I was around people who did TikTok, so I was influenced with it. Let me see. But over time, like you, I was just like, God dang, man! Like, it's like just
yeah.
Some of it's informational, some of it's entertaining, some of it's just swiping, but you're just swiping. Yeah. And I would be in bed and I was like, man, what did I do? I got rid of TikTok. I had to re-download it just so I can like kind of market this aspect, but I had to remind myself that I got it. And I definitely don't go on there. And the same way with my Facebook and Instagram, I'll post and I won't scroll.
Yeah.
And I'll post and I'll walk away from it, and then I'll go back maybe a day later just to see the number aspect, like, people are looking at it. Little things like that. But overall, I'm no longer in the scroll game. Actually, I lie. YouTube has been becoming my scroll game problem. The reels.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Right?
Instagram.
Right? So it's a reel, right? And it's the reels, and it's all, the algorithm caters to what you like. So I've deleted a lot of stuff that's no longer conducive to where I'm trying to go in my life or what I like, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of the same stuff, and it's like, man, I get so many different scriptures, so many different gems, so many different relationship information. I was like, that's just too much, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not ready to even apply this stuff, so let me fall back from this, because it's creating anxiety. Because it's like, you have all this information, you have the source, you have an input, guidance, people who trying to give you direction about success, marriages, what it looks like, what a woman wants, what a man should be, these and these, all these different influential things that can shape my identity. And then I want to go and execute it, but I'm not in a position for that right now. A lot of this stuff is not for me to execute. Yeah. So the Bible does tell you that the Holy Spirit and God will bring you back to remembrance. And I pray for that at times, that in time of season, all this knowledge that I've gained, that I have understanding with, give me the awareness to apply it so that I can be wise in the information that I'm using. We definitely just, man, y'all have shared a lot more than I anticipated. Y'all were in depth about, y'all's transition into Fatah, coming from y'all upbringing, and being able to identify that. I want y'all to understand that y'all's age is very rare, and it's a gift. It's another blessing. There's a lot of parents who are going to be looking at their kids different. Say positive from this, and there's some parents who are going to be proud. But that's just the way things are, right? It goes back to the importance of what we talked about, brotherhood, and in this case, it's not always male sausage party, right? It could also be the community of the 1 mile by square mile radius, or you family, kind of everybody knew everybody family, or you big public setting, but knowing how to isolate yourself away from all that to be around the only child. Somebody like you could easily try to gravitate to the 500 people. Instead, you chose to kind of gravitate to your dads and your mom and that closeness. So, as far as like, what is the vision after college? The stuff that y'all do with y'all's events, is that somewhere in the future for you all?
100%.
I think it's kind of everything that we do right now, and everything that I orient my life towards is just learning. I think this is a quote by Alex Hormozi. It's like a massive guy that I follow, big influential person. I think anyone should listen to what he says. He says, in your 20s, it's the season of learning, not earning. The second you trade learning a skill for earning money is the second you're stuck at that money amount, because there's no way for you to learn and get to a higher money amount if your goal is money. So for me, I think right now, and it's always been, just learning. The fraternity stuff is learning. After college, my one goal is just to learn. Even if I try 100 businesses, they all fail. If I learn one thing from each one, you'll end up learning enough where you'll be the type of person who deserves success. So I think it's
that was deep.
So I think, I just think the goal after college is just continue to learn, and don't give up learning for earning. Even if it's 500,000, whatever the dollar amount is, the money will come as long as you become the type of person who deserves the money. So that's what I think.
That is dope. That is damn. How old are you? Golly, man, you know how many people are struggling with that? Man, yeah, I will see him on Forbes. You will be there.
Listen, another thing my parents instilled in me is family is the biggest thing.
Oh, man.
And connections. So I give it all up to see, you know what I mean, one of my other boys having a good time or them. So to me, it's not really just about money. It's more about building a life that is oriented towards being able to give my family, my friends, everything I can, having a wife and children, making sure that they're set. So to me, it's like, the money is good, but money is just a tool, and it's just an amplifier.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, whoever you are before you get money, you're just going to be an amplified version of that.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I just want to become the right type of person if the money comes, or when the money comes.
There you go.
I should say.
Yeah.
I'm able to do with it what I think is right.
The scripture says, and I hope like at some point this all leads y'all into the direction I allow God's word and presence to be in the midst, and I allow just me being here and thankful for this opportunity. But God says, seek ye kingdom and all its righteousness, and I'll give you the desires of your heart. A lot of people love that scripture. As I've gotten more in tuned into that and studying, I have a lot of older people kind of hold me accountable with kind of the questions I ask, researching, double researching, quadruple researching. I used to think, probably like most people, okay, if I chase God, I'm going to get the desires of my heart. And then you think about in your brain what you desire, right? Lifestyle, there's that. But see, then you don't know God. And you're saying a lot of things that align with what God would love to probably hear from a lot of us. Like, you recognize the material has no meaning, and I can feel it. Like, it's not just something you're saying to sound cool. Like, your whole story built up to that mentality. So it's not an overnight mentality that you all have created. This is an established mentality, and college and circumstances amplifies the discipline that you all have created through the seeds of freedom or structure your parents have given you, right? So let's say we read the scripture and it says you get the desires of your heart. You know, my pastor said, my other pastor, he was just like, well, what if your heart is not in the right place? You know what I'm saying? The Israelites wanted a king so bad, and God was already there. And they had a mean prophet, not mean like mean, but like a dope prophet. They had a dude. Samuel was that guy. But they kept going to Samuel. They wanted a king so bad. We need somebody to be on here on earth. We need somebody to defend us, somebody to sit on the throne. This is very vain now, physical, material concept, an idea of what a king should look like. Remember I said earlier, relationships, marriage, brotherhoods, things like that. People have an idea of what a friendship look like. Oh, I just go to my friend, I'll just be vulnerable to them. It might not be the right person to be vulnerable with, right? You know which friends you can come to talk to and have these certain conversations with. So they wanted the king so bad. And God, Samuel was angry with them. And then when he was talking to God, he was kind of like frustrated with God because God was being humble and generous, right? God wasn't, yeah, I'm the king. I told y'all the king. No. God is like, okay. That's what y'all want? I have something for you, though. His name is David. I got a man who's a man after my own heart. David has always been known as a man after God's heart. And he tells Samuel, tell him, I have something for you, but I'll give you what you want. I'll give it to you. I can do that. That's what you will. That's what you want. That's what you think is best for you. That's what you think is right for you. I'll give you the desires that y'all ask. And man, they did not. And Saul was there, and he was just, he wasn't the greatest, he wasn't the baddest, but he did a lot of stuff that just was like, not what, you didn't prosper. You didn't prosper. You know what I'm saying? You didn't prosper. He was there longer than he needed, and you didn't prosper. And David still ended up being the guy that didn't ask to be king, stepped up to Goliath. Everybody else was scared, stepped up, cut Goliath's heads off. Like the Bible's real. He cut Goliath's head off. And then and ego, imagine you beating the Goliath, cut his head off in front of everybody else. And then you go, everybody, oh! And then you do the humble thing. Man, this is yours, king. You're the king. He showed him respect. That humility and generosity, even in his actions, being overqualified, intimidated King Saul. And that was the seed that he put in King Saul's heart. That he couldn't appreciate that he had a true man, true warrior. He was intimidated. He was insecure about David. He ran David out. He tried to kill David. He was trying to turn David's best friend, Jonathan, which was his son, who was the next appointed king, cool with David. The man who don't care that this guy is going to take your throne, that's your best friend. And the dad was trying to be in his ear like, man, he going to take your throne. But they had a friendship. They had a brotherhood. And David, for the life of him, couldn't understand, I do everything. I went to war for him. I give him clout. I know my place. But his heart was messed up because he wasn't the intended king. Why? Whose heart was messed up? What are you reading? Because those people's heart wasn't in the right place either. So now they got what they wanted in this king, and also the seed of their desires is implemented on him. So everybody got what they wanted, but it wasn't what they wanted. So when you say that you want to be ready for it, that's like what a lot of us are not trying to do. Like where I'm at, my wife, I want to be ready for it, you know, spiritually and in my heart. Right now, my heart is full of anger at time and resentment and impatient because it's not where it's at. So you got to pray on those things and do the things that I need to do to get myself there. And then when I'm ready, the aspect of me and being generous, because I think like you, I start with money because I don't care about money, but I understand money is a tool to do all the other things that I love to do. So I have to be more disciplined with that so that I can do more for others. So I know I went on a tangent about it, but I wanted you to kind of understand like that was very deep in self-awareness for you to make that statement about.
I appreciate that. And I will say real quick, and it's evident in you too. Everything you talk about and everything that you've learned from is from the Bible. And I will say everything that I've learned and everything that I will learn is from other people. I do not know a single thing. I'm not here saying that I know exactly what to do. Yeah. You're saying, it's smart that you think that way. I only think that way because of other people, not me. So there's nobody should be watching out there and be like, oh, this kid thinks that he knows it. Not at all. Yeah. I've learned everything I've learned from other people and role models, my parents, you know what I mean? And books especially. So if there's anyone out there who's my age or younger, read and learn. It's the best thing you can do is read and learn.
Yeah, I like Anakin Skywalker. He always says, you're never too old to learn. And it's one of the things that's hard, especially when you get older. What's your goals? You said you already said earlier that you wanted to do a construction company with your brother.
Yes.
So that's something already in the foresight that you have for yourself.
Yeah, so that right there is probably my biggest goal, just because just getting that started and already. So from my company now, I've had 0 advertisements, and almost every day I'm getting a phone call to do work. So it's it's not something that I'm thinking about of like, how to get it started, how to get people to know, because I know that people know how my work is and my work ethic and how strong it is. That not like a lot of people where I'll do it and then just like never gets done, or just gets done like half-assed, and then it's like, all right, well now it takes double the time, double the work because. But like the biggest thing I think about is, and it's not even the money, because I know that'll come eventually, but it's, I want to be able to give one day my kids the experiences that I've had, and even the experiences that I haven't had to have, and I want to make sure that they're able to experience everything possible, because I think that life is like, it's all about what you make of it and about what experiences you have. Because like before, we were talking the other day, and before even when I was talking about like my vocabulary being so small, that notice, so Ethan has on his phone every hour, he gets a new vocabulary word. Is that? And just he told me, and I added it to my phone, and I don't have shame in being like, someone says a big word, of being like, what does that mean? What, when you were saying that, and even what he was saying with learning is that just to always keep learning, and it's the only way how you're gonna get better at anything is learning, because no one's perfect, and just.
That's dope. Kids? You want kids?
Yeah, one day I want kids. But until that day comes, I want to be able to focus on, because when I have kids, I want to be able to give them the best possible life that I can. So.
Okay. You gonna do it when you get out of college? You gonna have fun for a little bit, or you gonna go?
Not even fun. I think college is my time to have fun.
Okay.
And when I get out, I'm gonna have fun, but that's when it's go time. That's when life hits you, and it's all right. Well, you got to have your fun now, and that's time to be an adult and figure everything out and get it done, so that everything that you just did is useful, and that you're not just wasting it all.
Damn insightful, man. Gosh. Man, y'all are something, man. I don't think y'all realize, man. Y'all are something, bro. What you got for me, golf player? Yeah, you got the doors are wide open. You golfing, superstar, marketing. You'll be in Vegas or something. I'm sure of it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Miami's the market.
Yeah. Miami is the market.
You did tell me that. You did talk.
Grutman owns Miami, but Grutman wants to give me a call.
Yeah.
Hey, you hear that, Grutman, man? David, no, we're not kidding.
I'll come work for not kidding. As long as you want.
The goal for me is, obviously I didn't come to college thinking, I was going to be doing these events or whatever else that we do on a daily basis that I can see myself doing for a long period of time. I've definitely taken a passion in it, more so recently in the past year, whatever, than any other time in my life, just because I hadn't really done it and I hadn't really seen, how much I enjoy doing it. But now it's more sales or whatever else is a stepping stone towards that. And, just every day we're learning new things about, like concerts is another thing that we wanted to get into. And I definitely want to do down the road. And, every day it's something new that we're learning that for me is going towards what I want to do. So I didn't really come to college expecting to learn outside of the classroom. It's like Darren always says, don't let your education get in the way of school.
Don't let school get in the way of your education.
Yeah, that's what it is. There you go. Don't let school get in the way of your education. That's college for me right now. So that's the plan. I went to Arizona about my freshman year out there for to see a golf tournament. You ever been Arizona?
I'm actually going, and I'm bringing in my New Year's in Arizona.
I was in Phoenix. It's a cool city. It's very much like, if I were to say, mini Vegas or mini Miami, whatever. The goal is get out there, somewhere out west. I wanted to go to college out there, actually. But, only child, you know. Probably not the best idea.
Yeah. Nice.
My mom's following me wherever I go. And if I was going out west, then...
She coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely know.
You get no girls with your mama in that apartment. Just know that.
No, I'm not living with her. No doubt about that. But she, you know,
you might as well call it because she's gonna be able to, baby, you okay? You got some food? You're like, Mom, chill. I got my study partner. Oh, she's cute. You're like my son. You know, so she get hit with the whole.
I'll tell you one thing. If I'm living at 21 Brandywine, she's living at 27. She's gonna throw her house in the town. That's just how it's gonna be.
She got your back, yo.
There's no getting rid of my mom.
That's a brotherhood. Sisterhood, right?
Yeah. And my dad's like that with her. So it's just a.
That's a connection
right there. Yep, wherever I go. And it's probably going to be either out west or just staying south.
Gotcha.
Hate the cold.
Yeah. Kids maybe one day, some in the future, possibly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Kid. Yeah. Singular.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I loved it, but I know for a fact if I had a brother, I would love that more.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like you can't. You don't know.
You don't know, right? Because I'm like, you be in the midst of that, and you're like, I hate my brother, I hate my sister, right? But, you know, as you get older, you kind of see that they play a part.
I'm going to chime in on that real quick. So I grew up with just one brother, and Brendan's been around the two of us. We grew up fighting, dude.
Yeah.
Fighting, always. When we were young, because he's 3 years younger than me. So when you're young, it's kind of like there's always a disparity in, I guess, like education level or maturity level. And then eventually you hit an age where you two are relatively close in where you are mentally. And I think now having a brother is the best thing in the world. It's like having a Brendan where you're always competing with them.
Yeah.
But it's just different when it's like your blood related brother.
Yeah.
And I always say, and Brendan knows, like that you're going to shoot him? No, shoot me. Like I love that kid, and he's the main reason why I'm here where I am now, and he will be the main reason where I get where I will get to eventually. It's just having someone else, especially I would say anybody who is an older brother is the best thing for you, because not only are you doing it for yourself, but it's like I need to show him what's possible by me being the one getting bloody over the wall first so that he could just walk past. Same thing with like parties in high school. I threw them, I would spend my time, and he'd be there and he'd have a great time, and now he's in high school and he's throwing the parties. He's like, oh dude, look what I just did. He's sending me pictures of what we used to do.
Come to you and holler at you for advice, guidance, right? Look at that.
So I would say being an older brother is the best thing that could happen to anybody.
Gotcha. Well, some people don't agree with it, man. Some people didn't have that.
And those people are wrong.
Okay, stand on it. That's
I
right.
will. I'll triple down on that.
I'll stand on it, man. That's the Bible, man. That's one of my. I said it in a podcast before. It said a friend is there at all times, but a brother is there for adversity. That's what the Bible says. Like, that's different.
Yep.
A brother is bigger than a friend. They're going to be there for the hard times. Friends are usually there all the time, but a brother, he gonna be in the trenches with you at times. So.
I will say too, though, I am blessed with the best brother ever. So maybe my opinion is biased.
Yeah,
maybe someone has.
There goes that. We'll get some hating on that comment, man. So, but man, it's man. As we get close to wrapping this up. So here wrapping this up, man, and just kind of sitting back, listening to each of y'all's story. You know, the journey that you all have been on already at an early age, and just maturity and the awareness that y'all have gravitated from that, you know, like as y'all self-reflected, you know, the whole point of my podcast is to really just allow you all to speak and kind of self-reflect from yourself, you know what I'm saying? Me just kind of asking you questions and just paying attention. And in that, man, y'all, I hope that when you walk away from this, that you kind of take a moment at some point today and self-reflect on everything that was discussed and see how that helps sharpens your vision towards your purpose in life, you know, and that a lot of the characteristic traits that y'all are sharing are a lot of traits that God asks of us. And I hope that someday this draws you closer to that relationship with God. In the meantime, I'll let the seed be poured into you all, allow him to do what he's doing. But remember, my God is not a God of coincidence. He said he knows the plan before we were even born and with the idea of who we are. At the end of the day, he just kind of wants his glory and just want to be recognized. He just want you all to kind of lean more on him than yourself. But for the meantime, he's giving y'all a system, a brotherhood, a family, community, right, that reflects a lot of the things that's talked about in the Bible. The iron sharpen iron is in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Man not being alone is in the Bible. Man desiring, Jesus saying he had friends in the Bible. I said this story of you all with the Brotherhood of Joseph. They did try to betray Joseph. Once they were jealous of his relationship with their father, Jacob, the vision that he had about being the anointed and things of that nature, they didn't like his gifts. But one of the things that I picked up as I'm studying that earlier this week was Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good, those who love God. And that the whole aspect of this was Joseph was the first humbled and then exalted. And that relates to when Christ was on earth, that he was here, humbled, wasn't even received. People didn't even recognize him because he didn't look like anything they thought. Remember, we talked about ideas. And going back to the seed of this conversation where we talked about the idea of things, the theme of this was brotherhood. In that brotherhood is bigger than Phi Phi. You three add a bigger community to Phi Phi. You bring something unique to it. And I'm sure every other individual at Phi Phi can bring that too. You know what I'm saying? Like for you three today, listening to each one of you all, community was huge in you all's life. Family was big in y'all's life. Structure, freedom, identity of self-awareness were great characteristic traits that y'all developed along through the things that everybody has had for you all. You resemble your dad when I listen to you in the form of just what I've heard as far as your dad, you said, limped out of high school, and he kind of like a wing it kind of guy, but he seemed like more than a winger. He just did things unconventional. You know what I'm saying? And it worked out, right? And that's how you're moving, right? You didn't come in with the same mindset that Ethan came in with Fraternity. Your vision for what you want to do after this is, you probably couldn't tell me, you probably could have said 2 years ago it wasn't going to look like that.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Him teaching you about not letting school hinder your education was so deep, which is so deep. Mm-hmm. Because some people go to school and get an education and their mindset is stuck from a school perspective. Yep. They cannot see reality of life. There's you call those people, or you'll say they're book smart, street smart, right? Book smart people are very literal, very technical, very according to the books, according to what the college, according to the pastor, and then the street smart people are kind of learning the winging out part, the snakes in the grass, or the survival aspect, being in the wilderness. Like, oh man, hey, don't hang around that girl, don't hang around that dude. Hey, I don't know, bro. Like, you might want to think about it. That kind of concept where a book smart person will be like, oh no, nah, that's a cool dude, or nah, that's a cool girl, or like, nah, bro, you can't see it. But then you can blend it, as you stated, right? Your upbringing, as you stated, a blend of both. And your parents giving you the wilderness aspect. Y'all go out there and learn. You know what I'm saying? And you find out. But they all gave you the nurturing aspect, the comfortability. Come to us if you need something. You do something, we're here to comfort that. Hey, I'm on your butt. This is a privilege. All that goes hand in hand, and I think we don't realize the value of camaraderie, family, brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? The brotherhood came in with the message of me thinking just Phi Phi. But listen to y'all story, man. Y'all, Phi Phi is a brotherhood to you. You three have your own brotherhood, and then the brotherhood that you got, which is your community, your family from your area, is y'all bring that together now. It's 3 different communities off of 3 people. Now all that y'all bring into Phi Phi. Your brother's going to look at Phi Phi. Your friends back at home, if they're going to look, what is Phi Phi? All because of you all, right? Discredit any other member, any other fraternity. This is all about, we're here talking about Phi Phi. And we're talking about Brennan, Darren, and Ethan. You know what I'm saying? So for anybody who's taking this kind of more about them, they're not paying attention to the message of what's being said. So y'all are dope, man. And I think at the end of the day, I want y'all to just know that the 3 glues that I got from y'all, obviously I stated, was family, self-confidence, and the vision, really. Y'all's vision and how to align. Teamwork. That's the word. Teamwork I want to use. Y'all know each other's place, and that helps in relationships when you get married, have kids, in business, etc. You know what I'm saying? Etc. You know what I'm saying? You being humble enough to do this, you knowing how to be there for others, you being focused, but having somebody sharp-minded. So whoever deals with you in your life, they're going to have to be very sharp-minded. They're not going to be able to get past you. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be able to fool a lot of people because he's not going to come off very proud and arrogant and confident. He's going to learn. So they'll think, oh, he's not this guy. But then behind the scenes, oh, he's right. Oh, I didn't know. He'll be overqualified. And then you, not wanderer like Isaac, but more like, out of the box, nobody's going to be able to box you there. Meaning you'll never be stopped. And all three of y'all can put that together and become a dynamic piece to society and ultimately to God's kingdom. And bringing more people to Fatah, bringing people to a vision and all the other things. And hopefully we can get our guy, what's his name? David Grutman. To holler at us, one day like that. But, man, I definitely wanted to end it like that with you all, man. How was that helpful for you all today as we get ready to wrap this up? Was any of this helpful for your purpose or journey towards your life as far as what you want to achieve?
Yeah,
I think so.
So, yeah, definitely.
Word, man. Well, hey, look, man, so y'all were here today seeing the importance of brotherhood. And I hope that you all that are watching this will be able to take something from this, whatever it is, and receive it. Ultimately, I want others to pay attention to the importance of togetherness, of community. Even if you're not in a two-parent household, have a support system that's going to sharpen you. You know what I'm saying? Don't have a yes man all the time, but have people that are willing to love you as much as you're willing to love them. People are willing to see you as much as you want to see them. And we all make mistakes. We didn't even probably discuss some of the issues that they may have had that could have turned this into a crack brotherhood. But understand that at the end of the day, when you have value with one another and you know yourself and you know that there's people in your corner, remember the cue though. If people are paying attention to you, and people are criticizing you, and people are correcting you, and people are supporting you, then the person that is receiving that, have a self-confidence of knowing that you're important and that people recognize you. And recognition is not always encouraging, but just know that you have a relevant face on this earth because every one of us was designed with the purpose for somebody or for ourselves. And we're going to leave it like that, man. Y'all welcome. Thank y'all for tuning in at Journey to Purpose. Look forward to seeing y'all on the next one. Shout out to Fatai for allowing me to have these guys. Any puns, Jersey, Bluffton, Long Island, shout out.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
David Grutman, shout out. Boy, Ethan loves you guys.
Akron, Ohio.